That's great. I think we've probably got about five or 10 minutes left. I think what would be interesting, just going back, whilst we said this was about building materials, you made me think when you were talking about some of the businesses that maybe have fashion. And I think for me, nobody wants to be, if people still buy papers, but on the front page of the papers for the wrong things. The reputational damage to a brand of being associated somewhere in your supply chain, with some of the horrors that we often have seen in the past, is often a bit too late. So that reaction to something that's happened just puts you on the back foot. And clearly, for any business that's got customers, whether that's B2B or even B2C with the end consumer, they will see that, and that reputational damage can clearly wipe out any significant sort of profit. So
that's why we focus on risk as well. Yeah. The larger the business, the more risk comes into play. And reputational damage is hugely expensive. It doesn't matter whether that's because of a breach of customer privacy. That still has to the fines, frankly, and under GDPR, they're quite trivial, unless you're Amazon. Well, even for Amazon, a £1 million fine is it's 5 minutes of earnings or something. Who cares? But the PR effort to put it right is vastly more expensive. My favorite example is think of Volkswagen. Always used to be synonymous with the VW Beetle. Except these days, what are they best known for? The concept EV bus, or globally cheating on emissions. Everybody knows about the latter.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting go back from the reaction bit into the proactive management. So, I think what we're talking about in this conversation is businesses that actually take the initiative. Don't wait to be asked by a customer, have you got an ESG policy? Don't wait by your shareholders to say, are you thinking about diversity or inclusion, or how sustainable your supply chain is. So I think that probably nicely segues into how you and I met and our businesses sort of came together. So for me, I've got a real passion in the building industry. I've been in this industry for pretty much my whole career. I'm really passionate about making a difference with the businesses that that I get the pleasure of working with. And I think seeing the business that you've established and the positive impact you are making, not just to the owners and the people working in those businesses, but society around the world, I think was a really nice match. So it's great that we're starting the journey together, in terms of a bit of a partnership now. And I think some of the opportunities that are ahead of us. I mean, what would you say about sort of what we could do together over the coming months and years ahead?
Good question. I mean, in the very short term, I think there's a huge opportunity to advise firms in the UK construction industry, and I mean across the entire spectrum, to help them be more competitive and to demonstrate that there is an approach which helps them recoup the costs of so many of the compliance programs they've undertaken, and to reduce their risk. And if we help them on these things, then the positive messaging is that much more important. What we don't want is to see businesses signing up to some communications consultancy, PR. Oh, we'll write you a fluffy report. Oh, it's all very colorful. It's really pretty, but there's no substance and there's no rating. There's no point in trying to cheat the system, because it takes actually no more effort to do it properly than it does to produce a greenwashed report. And I think key areas for this, I think very much anybody remotely engaged in the tourism, leisure sector, hotels especially. Hey, hotels are where the term greenwashing began. You know, this, oh, help us save the planet by putting your, by not having us wash your towel every day. That was nothing to do with saving the planet. That was about reducing the cost of contracting out the laundry. That's how greenwashing began as a concept. But then, you know, you could take an example of Hilton Hotels, who looked at their food waste, among all the other active construction approaches they've been taking globally. They looked at food waste and figured out that actually if they manage the food waste, they can recoup, they can save 800, I think the figure is $800,000 a year.
Wow.
So that's a lot of money, 800,000. But I mean, this is a global project they're rolling out. And in construction, very specifically, even the smaller business, if you want to make your product more marketable, you want it to be greener. The people who have the money, the people who are making the buying decisions these days, you know, in businesses, they're in the age bracket, the demographic for whom this is a fundamental concern. The leadership, and this is what we have to, this is our challenge, Keith, is to be able to explain to the typical chief financial officer, chief executive, board director of any size construction business that they need to be aware that they now no longer know everything. That the people who are going to determine the future of their businesses are aged 25 to 35. If you don't appeal to them, you're going to start to come unstuck.
That's a great point. I mean, this industry is such a big part. You know, it's what, 7 to 10% of GDP. It's one of the biggest, you know, employers in terms of manufacturing in the UK. So, yeah, I think there's two things for me. You're absolutely right in terms of, you know, the future decision makers, you know, for the country, for the industry, for the planet. You know, those key influencers, but also the here and now of, you know, we're such a big part of GDP. If this industry doesn't continue to step up, but not just step up for the sake of it, but step up at pace and start facing into some of these, not just challenges, because I think this is such a great opportunity, yeah, to make life better for people at the end of the day. That, yeah, this is a brilliant time, I think, to be involved in this sector, in this space, and actually make a positive impact. So, you know, I've really enjoyed, you know, this sort of 35 minute conversation I've been doing. I think it's been fascinating.